I'm late. I'm late. I'm aware I'm late. Uh, I'm late. Mm, mm. I'm late. Let's see. Is the lighting good? No, the lighting is shit. Actually, it makes me look pasty. It makes me look like a fucking. Hold on. Wait a minute. Does that does that look good? Mm, It's probably a different color. Nope, definitely not. It's actually not that bad. I don't hate that. I don't. I don't like it. I don't hate it. Mm, I don't know. I don't really know. Let's turn it off. Let's just turn that off. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm the Shadow of the Hawk. Schizo Ranter, as I self-same call myself. And welcome back to another week of Hawk Talk. Now, this week's little topic, as you can tell by the title, the one generation nobility and service guarantee citizenship. What is that little title? What does that little topic mean? Well, I finished actually finished reading this recently, The Crusades by Thomas Asbridge. You get your little chuckles and your laughs out while you can. Uh, and it got to the bit about the Mamelukes. Actually, hold on, I'm gonna have to do this carefully because I don't want to break this bookender. It's a very nice bookender. It's made of jade. Got it in China, Jongo, Jongo. Wo mama my jug在中国. I think I just said my mother bought that in China, I think. Xi'an, specifically. Xi'an, yes. In any event, so it was talking about the Mamelukes, and one line that really stood out to me was how the Mamelukes created something called a one generation nobility. Basically, the people who had total authority and control in Egypt under the Mameluke rule, they only had it for a generation. Because hmm, Mameluke the Red Dog cartoon strip. Howdy, Andy Pickle. Oh, I forgot to also show this from Gunsmoke. No, no, it will never be that. It will never be that. And I will never say that because I know for a fact that someone will fetch Kohai. Kohai will record that. She will make a meme of me saying that, and it will not end well for anyone. Specifically me. I won't it will not go well for me. That woman has made too many fucking memes of me. But so I'll be putting the link in the chat in a minute. Don't you worry, little pretty little heads. This is an open panel. You guys can come on whenever you want. Um, I just want to get like the general idea out there before I bring people on. So the one generation ability is basically the Mamluks. For those of you who don't know, were slave soldiers that were sourced from the Caucasus, from Ukraine, from the Turkic steppes. They were brought down. They were trained and raised to be like the ultimate fighters who have loyalty only to their owner. Don't fear the Kohai. Absolutely fear the Kohai. Um, and then, well, that eventually shifted from loyalty to their owners to when they killed their owners, loyalty to their brotherhood, loyalty to the Mamelukes. And the leadership of the Mamelukes in the beginning recognized that, okay, hold on, we want our sons to have like a decent life, but also by doing that, they can never be given any sort of authority within our hierarchy because if they have that authority, because they are not us, because they do not think like us, they will destroy everything we have made. Okay, hold on. So how do we? So what we will do? What we will do to be a Mameluke, you to have our position of authority within the society, you must go through the Mameluke training process. You must be taken as a slave, you must be brutalized and broken down and then turned into a Mameluke before you are given any sort of political authority, any sort of proper authority within society. Now, their sons were steered towards a martial career and served as kind of like a reservist unit kind of it doesn't really go into too much detail about Mameluke society. I'm probably gonna have to like find a book on that separately, but the general gist of it is you have the first generation of Mamelukes. These are your warrior nobility. Then you have the second generation are also somewhat of a warrior nobility, but they do not possess the same level of authority, meaning the governance, the absolute authority of the nation state of the Mameluke Caliphate or whatever the fucking thing for I'm blanking on what it was called. Um, was always from Mamluks, always drawn from incredibly competent and incredibly capable individuals who have a military background and, as such, understand the ideas of self sacrifice and of loyalty to a greater cause than yourself. You pair this with another book that I read a long time ago that I absolutely fucking adore, Starship Troopers. I also love the movie. And you pair those two things together, honestly. So instead of, the whole slave angle, yeah, actually, another good book, which kind of gets into it. This one right here, The Peloponnesian War by Donald Kagan, goes a little bit into the democratic processes of ancient Greece. Again, it wasn't just any random nobody. You had to be someone who displayed competency and value to society. So ultimately, what am I saying? What am I going? Where am I going? Where's Shadow going with his little schizo rant? What's going on? What am I ranting about? What are we talking about, boys and girls? Simple. We are talking about a governing system where the people who are possessed of political authority gain that political authority from displaying competency through service. Now, I'm not going to go full Mameluke where you have to be a foreign taken slave, and I'm not going to go Peloponnesian where you got to be a fucking slave owner. But middle ground. Let's go with let's go with something a little bit chill. Service. And I'm not going to no. And if you've read Starship Troopers and also understand the movie a little bit better, you can kind of understand that I'm not just talking about military service. I'm a bit of a warmonger, but I'm not that big of a warmonger. No. Anything could be service. Law enforcement, emergency services like ambulance drivers or firefighters, lawyers like public defenders, teachers if we still value public education, sort of thing. I'll get to your point. I'll get to your points in a minute, Andy. Actually, you'll be able to make them. Actually, here I'll just pull these up so people can read them, and you'll be able to express these opinions on panel once I toss the link in the chat. So you have the one generation ability, being that your children will not be guaranteed the same things as you. Simply being born to a citizen who has served and has earned their citizen franchise and earned the benefits of the citizen franchise does not inherently guarantee that you will receive the same benefits. We're not going to pull up Bangladesh. We're not going to give preferential treatment to people whose parents happened to display competency and sacrifice. No. This would be limited specifically to those who step up on their own 2 feet. And beyond that, fuck any other requirement. Like if you want to serve, if you want to put yourself on the line for the greater whole of society, and you have no arms, no legs, you got the IQ of a fucking dung beetle. Can you count? Can you count to 5? Great, you're counting magazines. We'll teach you how to count to 10. You are counting rounds put into magazines. We are stripping the guns, we are stripping the machinery that was doing that so you could do that job, so you could earn your citizen franchise, so that you could exercise your right to vote. Because by God, even if you are some bumbling fool with no limbs, the fact that you are willing to sacrifice for the greater whole of society is infinitely more valuable than some bastard who's going to line their own pockets. So with that, I'm going to open the panel up to the chat. To this chat. That is the wrong link. That is the wrong link. This is the right link. This is for chat. Now I'm going to hop over to the YouTube channel to pick. All right, it is now the pinned comment. Can you keep... I'm not a Marine yet. Fuck you. I'm not a Marine yet. I'm not. I want to be. I'm getting there. You boys, some days is below 200 pounds. But I'm not a Marine yet, Andy. I want to be, though. I really want to be, though. It would be nice. It'd be very nice. Yes. Yes. Well, while I wait for more people to hop in chat, or yeah. So hold on. Let me actually break down why do I believe in the service guaranteeing citizenship and the idea of the one generation ability. Why do I view that as better than our current system in America? Okay. Breathe. Breathe. Calm. Here's Andy. Andy is going to save me from saying some save me from saying some very, very not okay things, like how the average human being should never be given the right to vote. Go, Andy. Speak your mind.
Well, I mean, from the formation of this country, this has been discussed and gone over many times. I mean, you realize, well, I'm sure you know that early on they talked about only landowners having the right to vote. I'm front screen with what's going on.
It's your time for a monologue.
Oh, it's my time for now. Okay. Well, I mean, there's certainly a lot to think about as far as who gets the right to vote, who gets the control. But you understand, like, okay, so here's something that my mother said to me one time, and I did not agree with her. I can see her point, but I still don't agree with her. She said that only rich people should attain the higher offices in the country. And I asked her to
What?
explain why, and she said because they would be less likely to take bribes. And I'm like, you're counting on a lot there. I don't think that that's true. You know, but then you get on the opposite end of that, you have the what's her name, the nightmare mayor.
That could describe a lot of people.
This is the woman who just took over. She runs her town. She's on X number of charges, and they still can't shoehorn her out of office. I can't
I don't
remember.
know. I don't know who this is. It sounds like a certain bartender who's now worth millions, despite having an annual salary of like a couple, like $10,000.
Okay, but this leads to there are a lot of problems with this government. Okay, there are a lot of governments. I mean, I'd say every government around the world has a lot of problems. Generally, if there's not a big pot of gold, you don't have people looking for the leprechaun. So some countries don't have the problems that we have just because they don't have the resources that we have. But
And then others have worse problems, considerably worse problems.
I think others have similar problems. I don't think just because of the size of the United States, the fact that they have printed more money than is acceptable, I think, in just thinking about how you're going to keep this. We've run into problems with the market crashing several times in the history of this country. And every single time it's because they overinflate. They pump up stock prices and value of things to an insane amount, and the market crashes. You would think, okay, well, we learned our lesson. We're not going to do that anymore. We know what it leads to. But the problem is that if you think about it, they're causing this on purpose. They want the market to crash.
Yeah, absolutely. They want a nice, docile, chattel peasant population. Now,
Well,
to
I don't even
quickly
think
like
it's
just
that.
well, I'm just going to quickly phrase in our. I would say America is in a slightly better situation politically, at least, than somewhere like Mexico. They had a record number of politicians getting assassinated recently. So, yeah. Sorry to interrupt your monologue. Keep going,
No,
man.
I think that Mexico's problem actually is the reverse um, of what we have. We keep saying we want a smaller government. We want less government interference in our lives. Well, that's what it leads to. They allowed. They did not build up and equip and take care of their military. A lot of the cartels are actually ex-military. Surprise, surprise. And they realized that they could take
Really?
over whole chunks of the country.
Oh, we got another guest. Howdy, howdy, Gunsmoke.
Nice name, Bones Malone. Looks like you're muted.
Yeah. This is the same guy from last time. He lives in the middle of fuck all nowhere.
Don't you?
No, I live in Oklahoma. I live in like the OKC area.
You're like stone's throw away from me.
Concern. Very
Do
concerned.
you know what
But yeah,
keeps
no.
Texas from sliding off into the Gulf?
What?
Do you know what keeps Texas from sliding off into the Gulf?
I'm
Oklahoma
more.
sucks.
Hmm. See, I have no loyalty to this state, so I really don't care what you say. Gunsmoke, I don't know if he's able to talk. He told me his computer was suffering from heating problems of an
Yeah,
explosive nature. So, oh,
no,
he's
it's not
speaking.
the explosive nature. It's to the point where I have a secondary fan. that I put underneath my computer into it so it doesn't melt. So in order for me to talk, I have to unplug the fan. So do not expect quick responses. Also, I'm going to be
Is it a
muted most
computer
of the time.
problem, or is it just like the temperature where you are is surface of the
Computer
sun?
problem.
Oh, okay.
Sir, this man's setup makes a fucking potato clock look well put together.
But if I could show you the video I sent Shadow, you would understand.
I mean, if you want me to, I can. If you're fine with it, I can show him.
Just show him the one of the computer. Don't show me nodding.
No, I'm not going to dox you, man. Okay, I'll just share your address.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on a phone, so my computer's still in a box.
All right. Shit. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to. Hold on here. I'm gonna share something inconsequential. I'm gonna share the book I'm currently writing. Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna share the book I'm currently writing, so then I can switch to here because there was like I was gonna. No matter what I did, I was gonna dox someone with my Twitter PMs as they are currently. So what I'm gonna do now is share this tab instead, full screen. Now I can show the video. Here we go. Now I can show the video without doxing anyone.
Uh-oh. Looks like my computer's overheating again.
The reason why the fan sounds like it's a dying washing machine is one of the three blades is broken, so it's only running at about a 2/3 efficiency. But it works.
Hey, as long as it works.
I don't know if I've told you this, but this is the guy who hey Squatch. This is the guy who gets better internet hanging out with ducklings in a barn than in his own fucking room. Never changed, Gunsmoke. Never fucking changed.
Hey, Sasquatch.
That was belittling. That was mean. I'm sorry, Gunsmoke. I'm sorry.
Always fine.
Yeah. Howdy, Squatch. It is an open panel. If you want to hop on, the link is pinned in the top. Yeah. So, Gunsmoke, did you catch any of the like kind of prelude I gave about the title of the stream?
Yes, only certain people should be allowed to vote or something.
Effectively. And then Andy was expressing his line of logic. Not really count. I think it was more like you were setting up your line of argument, and then Gunsmoke showed up, and I interrupted you. And I apologize, Andy. Would you like to continue?
Oh no, it's fine. It just everything is complicated. That's just life. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is going to find a way to control more than they should. It's human nature, and they're going to find a way to beat the system. If you limit access to the system, and I don't see it working out well, but if we ever had an AI take over and run it where you cannot, screw with it, that would be the ultimate fairness. You would have no one getting more than they should.
Ah, you're thinking managed democracy. You're thinking super Earth.
Well, it's like you can still have rights, you can still have choices in life. But the biggest problem that I have with this government, this is what I was getting at when I talk about, this government has problems like any other government. The biggest problem that I see, we have the laws on the books. Some of them are 200 years old and are really stupid. But I don't really see much of a use for Congress, the lawmakers, or lawyers for that sense, okay, other than paper pushers, bureaucrats, because we do not enforce the laws we have on the books, depending on who the target is. You look at what's going on against Trump.
And that goes back to my line of logic of what you have is an entrenched aristocracy. It's the same families, the same people, with a few bits of new blood being added in every once in a while, who have been controlling things for fucking ever. Like, even if you don't want to like for example, our military for the longest time was drawn from a few specific families. Everyone had the name Armstrong, everyone had the name Patton, everyone had similar names, because it was like a couple hundred families being the upper levels of the United States military, with a few people trickling up. Same thing with
The
like the political
Rockefellers,
system.
You had the Lees, you had the Washington. Actually, I don't know about the Washingtons, but you had the Lees, you had the
They got out, sadly. That's why General Lee would have been in line for the American throne had Washington been a king. Because, like, the last Washington was his wife. Yeah, fun fact. But ultimately, the fundamental problem is, like, our current system only works when you have moral people in, and we don't have a system for weeding out bad people, because we hold equality as a very important virtue, as something we can never attack. Like, we have people arguing in the modern day that people who willingly sacrifice the social contract, willingly attack other people, should be, like, if you are sitting in prison for a triple murder stint, you should have the same right to vote as the victim, as the family of the victim that you murdered. That is like a line of logic that people are making in the modern day. And ultimately, that is, to me, a sign that the vast majority of people in this country should not be possessed of their citizen franchise. That does not mean they should not be given the opportunity to achieve it. I'm not saying go full oligarchy, you must be of this specific birth to have it. But at the end of the day, someone like me, who's a complete fucking dumbass and would gladly vote to bomb a country because I think it'd be funny, should not get the same vote as someone like Andy, who's a respectable individual who has a perfectly planned out line of logic. Gunsmoke should not be allowed near sharp objects to begin with, much less a voting ballot.
What? I only know how to make bombs.
Tell me,
Actually,
why does it take so much money to run for president?
I will actually. How about we let our fourth panelist answer that question? Say hello to Grand Admiral Snowflake of the 8th
Bro.
Imperial Fleet.
Even when you know it's me, you should bring up a banner and protect yourself, because there's some clever trolls in these here skies.
Oh, Shadow, I haven't showed you my kitten.
Sir, I've had Carrie on this fucking channel. Okay, you know what he likes naming his StreamYards names.
That cracker, dude, he'll change his name midstream just to jerk you around.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised my channel's still up.
I'm not. You're a good kid. You'll be fine.
Yeah. So welcome, Sasquatch. Sorry to cut you off, Gunsmoke.
I was thinking about, since we were talking about philosophy, something Austrian pain or something. I don't want to nuke your channel.
First of all, sir, I was joking. In a Minecraft stream, which already that's putting me on a fucking watch list.
Right.
I not one, but two people just blurt out the N-word. So the fact that this channel is still alive is a miracle, and I consistently make fucking Lebensraum jokes.
I challenge you to prove that it is alive. You have one person in chat currently, and I mean, actually, there might be somebody else. I'm just joking. I'm joking, dude. I'm messing with you. I can't see shit. I'm in a ban currently. I'm on a literal ban currently.
I am shadow banned, but I'm not dead. That's good enough. I'm broken, or I'm broken, but I'm not bent. I'd rather be broken than bent.
You're not forgotten. That's all.
Exactly.
Just got to remind you.
I'm like a Spartan. I'm missing in action. I'm not killed in action. Anyway, yes, you can make whatever Austrian painter line of logic you'd like to make, Gunsmoke.
Oh, he left. He's out. Screw this world.
His computer probably left.
Yeah, he was robot.
I don't know if you caught the discussion about his computer, Squatch, but I think his computer actually detonated.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to check and see if there was an explosion in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that computer said Hawk Tua. Why?
Damn it. Salute to Clue, you glorious bastard. Anyway, so Squatch. Andy's kind of given his line of logic. I've given my line of logic. Gunsmoke sort of gave his line of logic. How about you? What do you think about what's been discussed thus far on the channel? Or on the panel?
I missed 90% of it. I just now realized you were live, and I do apologize for that because I was in there.
You're good, man.
Watching my wife win World War II. So, I got sucked into.
I mean, Shadow started out talking about Marmaluke the dog cartoon strip, and then we went into basically talking about government and who has as the title, who has the right to enter or control or to vote into said government. And I brought up that, like we've talked about in government, in this government, about only landowners being able to vote, and of course that felony can't vote, and there's different kind of laws,
right in the Super Earth comment. That's where I come in was you saying Super Earth. But if we're gonna do a Super Earth, I have a suggestion for globalism. I've been broached by several different globalists on several different panelists, and they always run into a brick wall with me because I agree with them. Across 90% of the topics that we talk about, we agree. It's the method of getting there that we disagree on. Personally, I like the manifest destiny proposition. If you want to open borders, let's start adding states.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Protection under the Constitution, voting rights in the various districts, and nobody has to worry about the cartels anymore because Compton will take care of it.
That's an oversimplification.
100%.
I do know that, but it is hilarious, and I will strike you from the record, sir.
The Puerto Rico has been offered statehood several times, and they refuse it every time. They vote it down because they get all the benefits of being a protectorate of the United States
actually doing anything,
without doing anything to contribute.
Yeah,
and most of the protectorates feel that way.
We should at least require them to spend 2% of their GDP on providing an expeditionary auxiliary asset.
You misunderstand, sirs. You misunderstand. I'm not saying we do this as kind of a willy-nilly concept. I'm saying if you start sending a significant number of your immigrants across our borders, you are officially opening the borders, which gives you not the right to be a state, but our option to annex you one as.
So I think we should go one better. If we have a United States military base protecting your shithole country, you're a state now.
Ooh, I like that. I wasn't going to go quite that hard, but I like Pate.
Well, if you're talking about world domination, Squatch, as a wise man once said, there is no kill like overkill.
I am not saying anything about world domination. I'm talking about globalism, sir. You've got me twisted.
See, globalism, world domination, Lebensraum, it's all the same thing at the end of the day, is it not?
But the path to which will determine the results of which. Right? So if you get there through oppression and tyranny from start to finish, you will end up with an oppressive, tyrannical system. However, if the goal of that system is freedom and choice, then you're gonna, just like we have now, where the Democrats are standing flat-footed, screaming communism, 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 out loud, saying the quiet part out loud, and you just do not believe your lying ears. Thank you, Saint Yuri, for letting us know.
Yeah, no, it's fucking, the DNC has been fucking wild.
And they're gonna win. They're gonna win because they will cheat better than anyone else willing to freaking foot the bill.
I've been saying that, Squatch, but I'll tell you something. With what RFK did, and he continues every day to come out with a big zinger, talking about still being on the ballot in Democrat-dominated states, just to weaken the DNC's hold over their stronghold.
We don't have to invade Canada, Thomas. We have to just take the maple syrup and the Canadian bacon, and they'll just fold. See, the thing about Canada is you got to be careful with dealing with them because they will apologize to you while creating a brand new war crime.
Yeah. But the thing about Canada is apparently based off various polls and stuff, like Alberta would willingly become like the 51st state. Like they would willingly just become part of the United States.
Sure.
Quebec, at that point, would seek autonomy and they can't manage their own autonomy. They're like California; they would collapse
Right.
under their own weight. Newfoundland is just a couple fucking retards and a shotgun, so that's just you walk in and declare yourself king, and they go, "All right,
You
cool."
call your no, sir. Newfoundland is not just a couple of retards and a shotgun. It's quite a few retards, sir. There's a bunch of them guys over there. It's kind of like South Florida, bro. You need to be careful with Newfoundland. They'll mess you up. They have their own breed of rednecks.
We give them a ballot box, and we don't step on their right to brew moonshine. We should be good.
Yeah, no, you probably got them one over right there. Good plan. I like it.
We one better. We give them like a seat in Congress, like just one seat. We don't even do a population census. We just give them a seat. That's more representation than they get in the Canadian Parliament.
Now don't be
And
going crazy over here, man. Just calm down. We're not talking about
we
putting any
also
more seats in Congress with these
we also put
states.
a Bucky's. We also put a Bucky's in their territory. Boom! Instantly won over.
Yep. You got them. All right.
And
So
then
now
the Quebecois, we just let them maid themselves to death, and then whatever the western province is called.
Here's
we
what
just
you
walk
do. Clever are easy. They're really easy. All you got to do is let them attempt to set up their own state. Wait till it fails and buy it for a couple of truckloads of cash. 6, 14 months tops.
That could work. That could work. What do you, Andy, Gunsmoke? What do you guys think? What do you think
I'm
of
actually
our
more
Fallout plan?
concerned about Alaska. I don't know how we're going to convince it. It's a state.
What?
What do you guys think
Alaska knows
about
what it is.
executing the prelude to Fallout?
I think it's funny that Russia still to this day, and I mean, I haven't heard it as much as until recently, where they say that Alaska was stolen from them. It's like, no, sir, it was bought. You know, and now it's seller's remorse. I mean, you know, I don't think that they have a leg to stand on, but I think that economically is the answer. I think that due to our own corrupt politicians, our own corruption in businessmen, I mean, it's the money holders are really that are responsible for it all. But we allowed China to become this economic power because we are completely dependent upon their goods.
No, we didn't just allow them. We built them. Like they were fucking nothing. And
Right,
then
but we
they went,
knew.
"Oh, hello, Mr. Western Man. Those are some really nice shoes you made. We make them better and cheaper."
Right,
And
but the
with
point
like
is that
10% more worker mortality rate. And
we
then
don't
our
like how they do
politicians-
business.
Our
We
politicians
don't like how
went,
they do business. Okay, we don't like how their whole country is set up, both politically and financially, and how they treat their own people. Okay, whether you're talking about the Uyghurs or their own slave
the
labor
Mongols,
force, they don't have the
Mongols.
labor laws that we have. And I think that we should stop doing business with any country that treats its people that way.
That's a good
absolutely.
point.
And how would I go about that? Step number 1. If you are an American business that manufactures your products outside of America, you get a 50% fucking tax on all revenues. But if you manufacture within the United States, you're tax exempt.
Yeah. No.
Doesn't that sound very effective, efficient?
So are you
drawing
Shadow,
American
are you
jobs?
currently military? Are you training with what's your setup?
Currently going through PT to get into shape to ship out to OCS.
Okay. So what I understand, there were a lot of military guys that once they
if I was active military, I wouldn't be doing these streams.
Right.
Because they'd bring the hand to fucking. I'm probably gonna have to delete my the moment they go, yeah, you're going to OCS. I'm probably gonna make like a, hey guys, this channel's about to be deleted. Have fun, nuke. Twitter. Hey guys, I'm in the military now. This Twitter's going bye, nuke. Like that's probably what's gonna have to fucking happen to save my ass.
Right. Or create a secret personality that you can still sneak on and.
Nah.
I can help you with that.
I'll do that. Like, I
Yes.
will still do that. I just won't have my camera on. I won't be
I
talking
have
about
a
like
very
personal
select
information.
group
But
of skills that make me a nightmare for people just like you.
don't worry, Clue. You don't need to be a certain age to cross the Rubicon or the Mississippi. Is there a better river? Hold on, let me see. Is there a better river to represent the Rubicon in this analogy?
Wait,
The Allegheny.
You could say Ultima, huh?
Hold on.
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
Of all the Appalachian states, which ones do you think which ones do you guys think are the craziest?
Can we
Kentucky.
count Florida into that? Can we please put Florida in that group? Because if not, it's going to be Georgia, and I don't want to be that group. I want to be north of that group. No, okay.
I feel like Florida has the reputation.
West Virginia.
Florida's
Almost
not part of the
there.
Appalachians, is it? Wait.
No,
No,
Florida's
it's
not part of the
not.
Appalachians.
I was just trying to
It is
get a
its
win for
own
Georgia,
fucking
damn it.
hill.
I mean, I guess they have the very foothills.
Wait, you guys want to hear something really funny? Actually, if it wasn't for the Civil War, Country Roads would be singing about Central Virginia, not West Virginia.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So West Virginia has a couple of really weird things going for it to make it the weirdest or the most dangerous. First of all, it's not Kentucky. Second of all, West Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky line is where that whole Hatfield McCoy feud took place. Little place called Tug Creek.
Mm.
And they murdered a bunch of folks over a pig, so I wouldn't get too comfy over there.
I mean, to be fair, the Balkans kill each other over soccer games, so it feels kind of like the human standard.
Yeah.
We're not that far from that. You look at our soccer is, our football. So there's plenty of damage done after a game.
Right, you were going to talk about the religious, ethnic, and political differences in the United States. Ah, shit, Gunsmoke's dead again. Womp womp. I thought you were going to talk about the fact that, like, how the Balkans is like 6 different religions crammed into a space with 5 different major ethnic groups and a dozen different political identities. That's kind of the boat America's in. Although we have more breathing space than the Balkans.
There was a philosophy in place about 20 years ago that dealt with this situation fairly well. It was an indoctrination method, but I actually kind of, in retrospect, approve of the concept of the indoctrination. And so, sue me, man. Does anyone here old enough to remember the melting pot?
The general idea of like you assimilate to the culture of the United States.
That was the theme of most schooling in the United States from 1964, 5, somewhere in there, all the way up until like 89-ish, 90s. And suddenly it went from trying to get along with the group in sort of a communal method and assimilating into your surroundings well enough to at least get along with others, tolerance and, ubiquitous forgiveness and stuff like that, to the individual individual singling out of identity. Your identity is more important than anyone else's. And so suddenly we got participation trophies. Suddenly we got, like the first time I've ever heard of a hate crime or a race crime took place specifically because the school started putting together these versus games in intramural sports where they took all the white kids, put them on one team, all the black kids, put them on the other team, and then they played basketball. Didn't play baseball, played basketball.
Well, let me ask you a question. What was the size of the town you're talking about that you went to school in?
About 49,000 people at that point in time. It's at about 66,000 now.
Okay, it's not tiny, but
the racial demographics here are about 48, and the rest are made up of your choice of sprinkle in beans,
Where about in Texas did you matriculate from, Shadow?
No, Texas.
I'm nowhere. My dad was military. We kind of jumped around a lot.
Okay, but you said you spent some years here.
Yeah, no, my family currently resides in Texas, DFW
My
area.
Where I grew up is Arlington, Texas. All right, so current home of the Dallas Cowboys. Six Flags Over Texas. By the way, that's where Six Flags comes from. Is there were Six Flags, and now there are only five because they decided to take the stars and bars off the posters.
Oh
But
shit!
Arlington was the fastest growing town for years and years. It is smack dab in the middle of Dallas Fort Worth.
Even though
And
I'm looking at it. I was cleaning pools like just north of that over the summer. Like we could have fucking got drinks if I'd known you lived down there.
up in Useless.
Yeah,
The
no, I was cleaning. Yeah, I was cleaning pools up like Euless, Bedford, Grapevine, Grand
it
Prairie,
is
Irving, like
not
that area.
Euless. Anyway,
Yeah, no, I
so
know you're not Euless. You're south of Euless. I'm saying I
right, no,
was.
it's not pronounced Euless, it's pronounced useless. Anyway, so
Wow.
Arlington had kids bust into my junior high. My elementary school, the only problems I had was people making fun of my name. Okay. I got to junior high and it was warfare. It was race warfare. Just a few years back, I was doing a weekday thing that they do every year at Scarborough Fair down in Waxahachie.
Yeah, really great
And
place.
they would bus kids in from the local schools. They're out in their groups chanting their fight songs, like, and the cops are hiding. All right. You would think that this is Detroit and this is a Renaissance fair in a podunk town south of Dallas. The race stuff always comes from, chicken and the egg, which came first. Somebody did you wrong. I grew up with this. I have every reason to be racist, but I don't consider myself racist. I visited Sacramento, California. Okay. I had an aunt and uncle living out there. Whole family goes out there. I'm 12 years old. My younger cousins, they're like, hey, yeah, we'll take them over to the school, go play on the swing set, whatever. We go over there and there's like 20 black kids playing basketball. We're not bugging them. We're not even close to them, but I can hear it. My spidey sense is going off because I grew up in this. I told my cousins, y'all head back home. I'll just walk. And I knew that they were going to come at me, not my little cousins. I took my licks, beat the crap out of me, and then they all went off laughing. Why? Because I'm white. Okay. The boat people, when they moved in, and that was a big problem in Sacramento area in San Francisco, and you down by the Gulf, all the boat people that were taken in from Vietnam, they hang together, and it is from protection. And I'm not telling them that they're wrong to do that, but you walk by a pool hall, which I used to hang at all the pool halls. But you walk by one that is dominated by the Vietnamese culture, and they will look at you. If looks could kill, you'd better have a pine box.
Yeah.
They do not mix with you. If you wink at a Vietnamese girl, even if they don't know her, they might kill you.
Yeah. No, I don't. It wasn't as bad for me, but
I just
freaking
use my blue privilege.
What is that?
Indians, like subcontinent ones. Now, granted, this is specifically like the rich ones, like Brahmins and like the people coming over who have money. So it's more of like a rich people thing, but it's also enshrined in their culture. So fuck them. I did not have it like I did not have fucking issues with pretty much any race at all. Like no race, no culture. When I like first was when I was a freshman in high school, I had no issues with anyone. I just existed. I'm currently a senior in college, and due to my proximity and me learning about the culture of the people who would disrespect me and like they wouldn't, throw trash at me or like they wouldn't talk down to me, but just like when I was cleaning pools or not cleaning pools, when I was lifeguarding or when I was making Starbucks drinks,
Have
there
you
is a
learned that
noticeable
yet?
difference in how people from American culture and people from Hindu Indian culture treat like working class employees. because in their culture, they think that because you are not rich, you are inferior and they can treat you however the fuck they want.
That's because they come from a caste system,
Yeah, no,
cultural
exactly.
caste system. So,
Exactly.
have you
So I
learned,
didn't ever
any
have the
Indian
threat.
words yet?
Yeah, I never had the threat of like, oh, they're gonna kill you. Partly because I'm a scary motherfucker. Apparently, I've been compared to serial killers multiple times.
It's the Manson lamps you got, bud.
But Squatch, I mean, I understand that it's a degree thing, but don't you think the United States is a caste system?
Well, it's in their religion. It is enshrined. The difference between,
Yeah.
like, say, the Casta system that the Spaniards had and the Hindu caste system is theirs is enshrined in their religion. Ethnic
Yeah,
supremacy is
Hindu caste
enshrined in
systems.
the Hindu creed.
It goes further than just what you do. It's more along the lines of you do what you do because of the caste you were born into. You don't get to work your way out of it. You generally speaking can't marry your way out of it.
Have any of y'all ever seen this? I mean, she is stunning. But this girl that escaped from North Korea and she goes around giving these speeches.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I think I know which one you're talking about. She's like talking about. She made one where she was like talking to some American college students about how like great Marxism and communism are, and she goes, we were told that was amazing, and it wasn't. And they're like, well, you're just from like, well, what country are you from? And she goes, North Korea.
Right.
And they're like, well, yeah, and they don't believe her. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm North Korean. I lived through all the stuff that you talking about that you praise. No, you're wrong. You're just a bunch of dumbass children. Because
Yeah,
If you
well,
ever, if you
that
don't,
works.
if you haven't listened to her, you need to listen to her stories, and you'll get an idea of how good we have it here.
I gotta
But
ask y'all's opinion. I want to know everybody's opinion on this idea. I want to take some footage of Kermit the Frog and dub Jordan Peterson over it as a moment with Kermit.
stop doing that. Stop. That's just.
I just want a bajillion views, dude. That's all.
Squatch, I feel like if you were in the Balkans and you did that, you would trigger Serbia v Kosovo by doing that.
I would have. Well, I was
Now
gonna
listen.
say,
What do you think of Jordan Peterson himself?
I love the guy. I really do. He saved
right.
my life in a very personal way that's kind of hard to explain. But
And, no,
essentially,
I get you. I get you. Okay, I understand that. But I'll tell you something. I stopped watching a channel that was reviewing Wheel of Time. They had never read it, and they read through from book 1 to book 14. Went through all
wow.
this stuff, laughed, criticized, whatever. They're from Calgary.
Okay.
And one comment. It didn't send me into a rage. I don't feel like watching their show because they got political. They just started talking trash about Jordan Peterson because that's what they've been trained to do. This is a man who doesn't have a problem with people. They've got like an open marriage and their whatever their sexuality is, is confusing. But because what they were told about Jordan Peterson that they believed, and they started that, oh, Kermit the Frog, professor and blah blah blah, and he's evil and he's Hitler and all this. And I don't even like that.
To me, I respect the man infinitely. I really do. I also find that he sounds a little bit like Kermit the Frog. That's not his fault. It's just the way he talks. I think it would be absolutely hilarious, and I would use specifically inspirational quotes from Jordan Peterson to do it. I wouldn't try to make a fool out of him. I'd just
do it decent. Do it decent, like get a good Kermit the Frog voice.
I've got a good Jordan Peterson voice. That's a decent Kermit the Frog voice.
Okay.
The guy sounds like a mix between Kermit the Frog. It's hilarious, dude. If I can get him in the studio, it's solid gold.
If the Jordan Peterson Red Skull comic thing comes around again, you should do Red Skull.
Maybe Curmudgeon could help you with it. He does good voices.
Hello?
Gunsmoke.
Do you hear rattling in the background from me?
Not really.
Okay, good.
Yo. Yeah.
It turns out I can't turn the fan off at all. I'll just cook my computer.
Ooh.
You can kind of hear it, but we hear more of your breathing. It's making me aroused, and I kind of want your number.
If you had said that 2 months ago, that would have been a crime, Squatch.
I'm an
I'm
alien.
not like this.
Welcome to the jungle.
Squatch,
Sacred
Squatch,
heart.
Squatch. He's younger than me. He's 3 years younger than me. Be very careful.
Okay.
I've been 18 for less than a month.
Oh, well, shit, we're good then. Screw it. That's it. Ain't nothing we can do about it. So is he the new egg?
You fucking Georgian bet. No, he's not, because I know what you motherfuckers are gonna. The abuse I've been put through, you're not doing that to him. You're not doing it. No, Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke. If this man or anyone that goes, hey, we know Shadow, we're friends with Shadow, do you want to come on a stream with us? Do not fucking accept it.
Hey, I'm nicer than all the rest of them. I just tell you the truth.
Hey, like I'm not trying to deify Sasquatch, okay? Say that up front. But you know how they say the Lord doesn't give you more than he knows you can handle. I feel like Sasquatch has done the same to you.
Well, no, he's going to hear a lot worse when he goes into boot camp, man. He's going to have to deal with a whole lot worse than what I'm getting.
Yes, absolutely. But
At
fortunately,
least
they
he's
won't
not
have
going into the
tablets on
Navy.
hand. They won't have tablets on hand to do to me what Kohai does.
I'm not Kohai. I come at you in a very specific way. It's straight at you. There's no settling around the edges. I'm not trying to ruin the rest of your life with a picture. None of that. We're just going to say something that makes you look really, really, really young.
Well, I'm already really, really dumb, so it really don't matter.
My
We're not
advice
done.
still stands,
No.
Gunsmoke. Do not, without your lawyer present, do not ever get on a panel with this chuckle fuck. Semiel the Infamous is also one. Dermy Wormy, stay the hell away from Dermy Wormy. Stay the fuck away from
Yes,
him.
no, I have to agree with them on that.
I'll tell you something, Gunsmoke. Shadow's being really PC right now because the scary ones are the ladies.
Oh my God, he's so.
Which ones? Which
Shut
ones?
Fish fear me, women scare me.
I won't name them.
Yeah,
Andy,
right.
Andy, there's a private chat. Only me, Gunsmoke, and Squatch would see it. Go ahead and put the names in there.
Like I trust
You know-
him enough to trust that name.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, you do, dude. Like, don't pretend.
I legitimately don't. Like, I honestly
When one of them is asking you what your blood type is, don't answer.
Are you talking to Amira? Are you talking about Amira?
I didn't say any names.
We don't mention names for reasons that we don't mention.
Mira is the only person who showed an interest in blood.
Okay, so how about the dogs there, Pickle?
So let's change the subject.
That was a
Yes.
total change of subject.
But
You
let us
saw that,
change-
right? It was a flawless pivot. It went so quick, even you missed it.
All right.
It was a pirouette.
Let's change. Let's change the topic. Let's talk about
Hey,
laws. Actually,
Bones, you got some real weird feedback going on.
oh, that might be.
Shadow? You,
That's him.
Hey guys,
Oh,
what's
yeah,
your
please,
favorite
Gunsmoke.
character from Berserk?
Gunsmoke, I think it might be you. Can you try muting?
yeah, I think it's his speakers picking up on his mic.
Okay, gotcha. Gunsmoke, when you want to, this was me like a year ago. It's still me on some streams actually. Gunsmoke, when you want to talk, unmute, but can you stay muted because we're getting like an echo through you.
Does StreamYards have a push to talk?
I don't actually know if there's a push
There's
to
a
talk, but you
hose.
could just.
You can rig a
oh,
hotkey in there.
Actually, Gunsmoke, could you do me a favor? Go into the settings, go to audio, and click reduce mic background noise. That might help. But so let's pivot the discussion to a discussion.
As keep what you're saying there, Shadow. But I just want to bring up something. I keep mentioning books. I would say Sasquatch is one of the few people that I've run across that may have read as many books as I have.
Hmm.
So, just saying.
Yeah. You know, Black Company is still on the list. I just want to finish the Saxon Tales before I start collecting another book series.
That's
But
fine.
once I'm done with that, I think I've got like 4 or 5 books, and they're not long reads. I get them done in like a
Have
couple of days.
Have you
Uh,
ever heard of a series called, and I'm sure Sasquatch has, Thieves Company? Or it was a Thieves Company? No, it's
no, I have
what was
not.
it? What was not Robert Aspirin? Thieves World. Thieves
Never heard of
World.
it.
No,
Never
we're
heard of it.
talking old school. And
Robert Ashford
Like
was
Barsu mold?
misconceptions.
Like, we're talking Barsu mold?
no.
Not
But
quite
we're
school.
we're talking my childhood,
We're talking
and
about
these
Ellis
guys wrote.
Yeah.
It was an anthology. It had several different writers. Okay. And so each person had their characters that they introduced. It was kind of like, D&D, they just had characters that they put in stories about. But um brutal, brutal. And it wasn't grim dark like the Black Company. Well, maybe it was. It was so early that it was like, if it was grim dark, it was one of the first.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll keep it in mind. Probably Black Company, though, because I've gotten way more recommendations for that than Thieves World.
Have you
Yeah.
ever read any of the Counter Earth saga?
No, I have not.
No.
What's the name of it? Hold on.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I'm
while you
less
figure
into
that
the
out,
sci-fi as I'm into fantasy.
let's talk about. So we were talking about governing. Let's talk about law.
the Priest
Do we
Kings of
believe?
War
Do we,
series.
do we
That's the name of it.
believe? Do we believe in the single man stepping outside the social contract to enforce his view of the law as the superior method of dealing with excess crime? Or do we believe in the totalitarian draconian response by the government to force people back into order?
Those the only two options.
Is
Judge
my
Dredd.
Yes, on this stream, your
Okay.
options are a single dude slaughtering criminals by the thousands without the consent of the governed, without the consent of the social contract, or people willingly ceding authority to a draconian system to ensure order. Now, with the context of the crime being as bad as it is within these stories, obviously, if you've
Okay.
got like a local sheriff is able to handle the local drunk, we don't need either of these. But when we're talking police response is completely ineffectual, which way, Western men?
So we're talking about some serious heavy duty type like Judge Dredd involvement in crime.
Opening of Demolition Man bad.
Right. That's exactly the reference I was looking for. Couldn't put it together. Thank you.
The vigilante is a fantasy. It would never work.
All right. I think it. All right.
I-
We'll
I-
let Andy go
I
first.
challenge the concept of Judge Dredd not being a vigilante. He's a
Well,
state
Judge
sponsor.
Dredd is the law. He's not a vigilante. He's the opposite of vigilante.
No, think about the mechanism you're speaking of. Both of these characters do exactly the same thing. It's just that one does it with the consent of the state and the other does it in the shadows.
Right. And that's why the vigilante, who does not have the state support, is a fantasy, because you think
I
about
agree.
what all of these stories have, and I say more in the movies, they're sensationalized and all that, is what happens to the vigilante. They go after his weak spots, which are always his DNPCs. DNPC is a gaming term. Is basically your
Yeah, no, I
dependent.
got you. But I still challenge your assertion that Judge Dredd, even though he's state sponsored, is not a vigilante. He does exactly the same thing. And furthermore,
Vigilante, by definition, is against the law.
it is outside of the law, sir.
Yes.
So when Judge Dredd goes against any part of his programming, because yes, he was programmed as a judge, he is. The newer judges have eugenic experiments that are being experimented on to make them better judges. So it's sort of over the law. They are the law, but at the same time, they operate beyond their own conscripts, proscripts, contracts.
Shadow,
And
do you
I'm
know
not-
where Judge Dredd came from?
Yes, he is a British comic character from the 2000 AD series, centered around a post-nuclear war America with so little resources and supplies that they are
Well,
forced into a draconian authoritarian state to function.
I meant publishing wise. I meant publishing wise.
Yeah,
These were not books. They don't have a
no, they're
huge
comics.
backstory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I've actually no, hold on. I know, no, that's just something I picked up at half price books for like $3. No, I've got. They're really hard to get stateside without ordering online, and I really like to support brick and mortar stores more. But I do have 2 Judge Dredd comics, one that's good, one that's shit.
Right. I believe that those are collected works, or they came out after it became famous, but it started out as not a serial, but just occasionally drawn for Heavy Metal magazine.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I know that currently it's owned by Rebellion. And man, I both love that fact, but then also I'll hear about what some of their new stories are about, and I'm like, come on, Jason Kingsley, I bought your book. I respect you way too damn much for you to be doing this to Dredd.
So I got a question here, and this
Yeah.
goes to the Dredd, to me questioning whether or not a judge can be in the sense of Judge Dredd, can be considered a vigilante. Do they not regularly go above and beyond the proscripts of their mandates? Or is their actions by definition the mandate?
Okay. The point that I was making does not disprove yours. Okay. But the vigilante is weak. It's one person generally. They do not have the support of. So even if he goes against the mandate, the government doesn't turn on him.
Okay.
So that's my point, is that with the government behind him being the law, he can go against the mandate as long as they don't excommunicate him. He's got their full support. So the vigilante, they're going to go after Alfred or Aunt May or whatever.
Right.
And that's another variable with
that was another thing I was going to bring up about Dredd. He has no Aunt May. He is a state green sponsored.
If you're going to be a vigilante, make sure you're an unknown person in an unknown part of the world, and let no one know who you are, because if they can't leverage anyone against you, they have nothing on you.
Yeah.
Right, but one against the world. You remember, as one of the chief members of the Justice League, and Batman's superpower is he's rich.
Basically, yeah, and very determined. You got to
get rich and a cheap knockoff of the Shadow.
I hear you, but his determination level is absolutely amazing. It's Shift Z. I mean,
hold on, Squatch. Clue raises a very good point that is also within my line of logic. See, a character like Judge Dredd, he is sanctioned by the state. So as long as the state remains, the state will, so long as it has the consent of the governed, serve the people more than it harms the people. Now, once the state stops, serving the consent of the governed, that's a different story. But there are levers in place to ensure that the actions of the judges are for the public good more than the personal needs of the judges.
I hear what you're saying, but I feel like you read that out of a book and you're spitting it back at me. Can you put it in your own words, brother?
That is my own words. I'm just phrasing it very bookish for whatever reason. So when it comes to the vigilante, the line between insurgent and vigilante ultimately comes down to do the opinions and beliefs of the vigilante line up with the popular consensus of the people that he is attempting to protect.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah,
but is the opinions and beliefs are the direct actions they take? I would analogize the vigilante as functioning in a way that doesn't directly oppose the state, whereas the insurgent vigilante, if such a thing exists, would be something like the IRA, where their actions specifically bulwark against the state activity.
So is someone like Robin Hood an insurgent or vigilante?
Insurgent vigilante. Yeah, he's both. He's not necessarily one or the other, but he is definitely both, because his specific actions that he took to terrorize the guilty it stopped the state from being able to utilize those monies against the populace. Insurgent activity.
But are you talking about Nightwing, or are you talking about Damian? Because Damian is an insurgent, okay, and a vigilante. But Nightwing is not. Nightwing is ruled by rules.
Yep.
He
Okay,
was given those morals from Batman.
And that ultimately ends up being the thing, is a vigilante has absolutely no oversight. They do what they want, they act how they want. And this is a thing that consistently showed up in the Arrow show. Now, some people are going to knock it because it got shitty, which it did. Felicity was one of the worst things to happen to that show. But one of the episodes that kept coming up every couple of seasons was when you had someone who was inspired by the works of the Arrow crossing certain lines that did not need to be crossed for the pursuit of their own mission, viewing their actions as righteous and virtuous.
Can I give you a better example?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they did The Watchmen as a movie, which is not really. I mean, it was pretty close, but it is not really like the same as reading the book.
Good effort. I give them an E.
I've heard it's better.
all right.
I've heard it handles the argument better because Alan Moore is a nutcase.
Alan Moore's kind of dumb. Wait, no, I think I'm thinking of someone else. Never mind.
No, he's apparently like an actual nutcase. Like, he legitimately doesn't understand why the average working person prefers Rorschach to the guys who covered up a genocide.
Rorschach's pretty cool, though.
No, he is. But he was meant to mock. He's the Soldier Boy effect. He was meant to mock. He was meant to mock like the far right lunatics. But he was such a compelling character because he stuck by his virtues, and he was like standing in a room of like billionaires and gods. He was just a man in a mask, and he went, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you."
I'm out.
Walked out and just accepted that he was going to die.
Right. Where do you think the comedian falls into that whole range?
The comedian is a man who, like Rorschach, recognized that the world was shit, but unlike Rorschach, felt like developed a nihilism of it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he never took himself seriously. He never took any of it seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Rorschach
Where
felt,
the
and again,
Joker
I'm going off
laughs
the
at
film.
madness, he was walking madness. He was literally just following orders because, as far as he could tell, it didn't matter if he did or didn't. It was going to happen anyway. So he decided to have fun while doing it. That's madness.
I think the comedian had more control over his mind than Rorschach did. I think Rorschach was in that case. I think Rorschach saw too much, and it drove him insane.
Yeah. Rorschach's thing was he recognized that the world was fucked and that you could never fix it, but he still ultimately he still ultimately tries to fix it in his own way, whilst also going, you can't fix everything. Whereas
but you understand, like part of Rorschach's insanity, the difference between them, and this really only becomes clear when it's the comedian finds out, or he knows that this girl is his daughter, and he tries to reach out. Rorschach gave up on a normal life. He did not even see himself as himself. He saw himself as Rorschach.
And I get that. I get what you're saying. You're saying that he was such an individual inside of a identity world that it made him virtually non-functional for a normal life.
Right.
There's one more.
Have you ever seen the there was I think it was the animated Batman, but they had somebody get into, or they were pretending to be, it was one of these mentalists. So they got into Batman's head. And the reason that Batman knew that it was an illusion, it knew it wasn't him or his voice in his head, as he's explaining it to someone, he said, "I'm not Bruce Wayne in my head."
Right.
He's Batman in his head.
He's Batman.
And
that's a big
scary.
That's like Superman versus Bruce Wayne. When Superman puts on a costume, he is Clark Kent. He has to put on the costume to become this lesser person so that other people aren't threatened by him. When Bruce Wayne puts on his costume, he is Batman. He has to gear up to go out and fight the evil that he sees in the streets of Gotham at night. But I want to get back.
The scary thing is that in his head, when the time that he's pretending is when he's Bruce Wayne.
He's Bruce Wayne, yes. Right. That's why all of his business decisions are so cold-hearted, is because he doesn't actually consider them. The Rorschach question really intrigues me because there is a factor here that doesn't make any logical sense, and I think it's important. Rorschach when the chips really hit the fan, always does the rightest, logicalist thing, regardless of the rationale behind it. It is morally just untouchable. He will sacrifice himself in that moment for that reason because it's just the right thing to do. And this is something the comedian would not even consider. He would laugh at you while it happened in front of you.
Right.
I think that's a significant difference, you know.
I don't think moral is the right word, but I understand what you're saying.
That might not be the right word, but you get what I'm saying. He would make a very pragmatic decision that cost him and take the hit just because it was the pragmatically correct thing to do.
What I think is super interesting about The Watchmen, and I'll bring up another series that y'all have never heard of. So the guy who wrote Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin, right?
Yeah.
He did an anthology series where he was the editor, and a bunch of other writers contributed to this called Wild Cards. So the premise is that an alien race, in order to conquer a planet, they drop a bomb that mutates everyone it hits. 99% of all the people in the blast area die. Of the 1% that survive, 99% of them are what they call jokers. Their mutations are useless. Okay? There's a chick who runs a high-end casino, and her skin is transparent. Ooh, big superpower, right? But 1% of 1% are what they call aces, and they're superheroes. The reason I bring it up is, like Wild Cards, it mixes in our own history. It starts after World War II. Well, actually, before World War II, and involved in World War II, you had aces. The writers just put these characters in these historical events. And they were there for the McCarthy trials, because like the one alien that came to help us, Dr. Tachyon, is like considered a communist by his socialist idea.
I have read this, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah,
this is
so it's very involved, and it's got some really weird heroes. You know, like there's a guy named Fortunato. I can't remember the author that wrote him, but the guy is like a detective, and he has magical powers. But the way he charges up his magical powers, it's tantric. So he has sex. You know, right. And it's like weird, and his forehead just like expands the more charged up he is. So he has like the super brain. But anyway, like there's like 5 books to this series, I think. And it's just wild.
Talk about post nut clarity, dude. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just that they go through, you know, like Spider-Man losing his abilities because of his self-doubt.
Boilerplate series. Does that ring
a
bell to you? Boilerplate. The Victorian robot that was the soldier of the future that broke loose and became a vigilante to protect freedom.
I've seen it, but I haven't. I mean, I was in comic book stores a lot, but I haven't read it now.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, the premise behind him is he was a created artificial intelligence structure that would make decisions on its own veracity, right? And Orgasmo is actually a movie. You should go check it out. It's hilarious. They use a stunt double for all the sex scenes, and it's a big black guy. The dude's Mormon. Orgasmo himself is Mormon, but they use what they call
Orgasmo. The movie was created by the South Park creators, Matt and Trey.
Right. So y'all go check that out. It is absolutely hilarious.
Oh, yeah. And if you run it, okay, let's see how in depth you are there, Sasquatch. Have you seen their movie, Cannibal the Musical?
Every time they say something about Jesus Christ, he goes, "Where?" and looks around like he literally expects Jesus to be walking around the corner any second.
Yeah. Have you seen Cannibal the Musical?
I have. A buddy of mine who's into like really esoteric film forced me to sit down and watch it. I was like, dude, are you serious? He's like, man, here, hit the bong and just stare at the TV until I tell you to stop.
Can we? Hello?
Those old guys have seen some weird shit, man.
What was that, Gunsmoke?
Is this on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. Can we talk about how Batman's no-kill rule is dumb?
It's actually
Well,
not.
think about it this way. Think about it this
It
way.
is.
If Batman killed his victims, quote unquote victims, if Batman killed his targets, he'd clean up crime in Gotham in about a week and a half.
Right, but
Have-
here's the thing. Batman is not trying to be the judge, the jury. He's not Frank Castle. He's not the judge, the jury, the executioner. What he
Right.
is he's a balancing act. The law enforcement of the police of Gotham are not in a position to effectively deal with the threats that Gotham is under. So Batman steps in to even the score. However, he firmly believes that if he were to just start killing, he would easily strip the autonomy of the people of Gotham to determine the punishment, to determine the sentence for people. Now, why Gotham hasn't put the Joker, Mr. Freeze, Harley Quinn, why they haven't gotten the fucking electric chair, that's
I blame
that's Gotham.
liberal judges and Democrat prosecutors.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, so-
I understand it to a little degree. Like, yeah, you shouldn't just be capping like the random mugger on the street, but Joker has killed hundreds of people and he keeps getting out of jail. Put that
I will
man
give you the best
No,
in a
titles to read.
hydraulic press.
Gunsmoke, are you familiar with the Injustice series?
What?
Are you familiar with the Injustice series? When Joker kills Lois Lane and nukes Metropolis, and then so Superman's like, I've got nothing else to live for, so I might as well just kill this bastard because he deserves it. Kills Joker, and then realizes, killing villains is actually a lot easier than arresting them, so let's just act like the American school system and just go full auto. And then he
Yeah.
becomes a fucking tyrant. Because ultimately, the moment that someone like Batman, who is significantly superior to your average person, decides to take the law to become judge, jury, and executioner on top of the arresting officer, he recognizes that he will have stripped the determination process from the people, and that's not what he wants to do. He is
Okay.
he's not sitting there as like a king of Gotham. He is the Dark Knight, not the Dark King.
But how does Frank Castle be Frank Castle without doing exactly the same thing you're accusing Batman of having done if he kills? Frank Castle murders people wholesale, body counts in the
Right.
thousands.
Because Frank is a fundamentally different rhetorical argument.
Oh,
Batman believes that the system can work so long as good people are in place to manage it. Frank Castle goes.
that kind of sounds super Earth to me, bro.
Yeah. Frank Castle goes, these people are fucking animals, and they, in the same vein as Rorschach, these people are fucking animals. Like, a rational society would put them down. The ultimate punishment for animals like the ones I hunt is death. So, because the system has shown inability to solve that,
Actually, Fluman's a better argument. I hear what you're saying, but Flu said it better. Frank never said he was good. Batman ultimately is a force for good.
Have any of you guys ever heard of the Shadow?
Yes.
What evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows. No, I never heard of it. What you talking about?
Ah, never mind that.
But is that like the 40s like gunslinger type that was the inspiration for the Silver Shroud for Fallout?
Yes.
Yes, and he's actually Batman's actually a ripoff somewhat of him.
I mean, he was
Comic book.
basically he was sort of a really wealthy Sherlock Holmes type who really liked puzzles and got involved in cases because it intrigued him as like an eccentric gentleman. But he did so in the guise of the Shadow, and his public persona was completely effete and useless.
Gunsmoke, have you heard of Deathstroke the Terminator?
I have no idea what that is.
Okay. So they had a long run called the Teen Titans. All right. So you've seen the animated show, I imagine.
He's younger than me, so he might not have.
I've
Teen
seen a little
Titan?
bit of it.
Okay.
Do you
So
mean
anyway,
the
you got your
do you mean
basic.
the really bad kids show, or do you mean like the actually animated one?
They're both
The
the same
actual show is what
characters.
he's talking about.
Okay, so they had this series, and in issue number 2, they introduced. They got the group together in issue number 1. In issue number 2, a guy decided to become a hitman like his dad, and he let these guys experiment, and they gave him the super serum. But the super serum was like the Kmart version, and it ended up killing him. So
Bro
dad
got
gets
the
involved.
Wish.com super serum.
Right. So by the end of that comic book, he's like all shriveled up and dead. So dad gets involved. Dad took the original real super serum, basically Marvel's version of Captain America's. And this was back in like the Korean War. So this guy, he's got white hair, but he is like in peak physical shape in modern day. So he's going to live a long time like Captain America did. He's got basically those abilities. So the way he talks about it is he has, and then it's kind of screwy. So either he has 9 times everything, so all your stats, and it means he thinks faster. It's not just physical stuff. He's smarter. He's faster than everybody. You know, all the normals. And so, or it's 90%, which is basically 2 times. But anyway, he's a badass. His character name, Slade Wilson. And yes, he uses guns
I'm familiar
and
with
a
this.
sword.
I remember
yeah.
that guy now.
Really good character.
Who was ripped off of Slade Wilson, Deathstroke the Terminator? Deadpool. Wade Wilson. And they don't even try to hide it. They laugh about it.
Nope.
It's funny to me that both of them's money shot is the part where they're standing there bouncing bullets back off of samurai swords from fully automatic weapons and hitting the people who's shooting the bullets with them. That's both of them's signature move. I mean, come on, man, put forth just a tiny bit of effort.
Now, I like the Deadpool character. I just, like they've ripped off titles forever. And, you sit there and talk about Batman being a shadow ripoff. There's a fundamental difference between DC and Marvel. And the problem that I have with things like Batman versus Superman and the Injustice series, Superman is the best. Period. End of story. Nobody's better. And that means in the moral sense too. Superman never goes bad. All right. And I guess Superman 3 probably experimented in that where he or Superman 4 where he like acts like a drunkard.
He's drunk. It basically just makes him an asshole. He's not really bad. He's just a dork. He's just self-centered and shallow. He doesn't do bad things out of bad intentions. He does bad things out of petty petulance.
The better story for y'all to read, to me, is not the Injustice series. It is Kingdom Come, because it goes over this very story. So in that series, which is a great graphic novel, I mean, it is done with watercolor. The artist, you just look up Kingdom Come. The artist is amazing. You will never find better comic book art. And
this is a bit random, but I just found an unused $50 gift card in my room. What do I buy?
Correct.
So, but the story basically, as you get caught up to it, is the Joker comes into Metropolis, and he kills everybody in the Daily Planet, and he's going on a rampage. And this guy, I can't even remember his name. He has a stupid name, like a Roman historical. Magog, that's what his name was. Anyway, he finds the Joker before Superman does. And Magog blows a hole in him the size of a basketball. Superman shows up and tries to arrest Magog. After Lois Lane and all his friends were killed, he still is that guy.
He was in the building when it went. He was just sitting at his desk and suddenly everyone around him was dead and he's still sitting in like the rubble. But his suit's messed up and he has to stand up and walk out of the building knowing that there's nothing he can do to save anyone. It's really poignant freaking comic. That whole thing is really well done.
It's amazing. And it gets into that whole, like, by the end of it, Magog is like, why are you he's so frustrated that Superman is so good. And he's like, he hates the fact that he is now that guy. He has turned the world into a worse place because superheroes, after he kills the Joker, it's like everybody, you can't hardly tell the supervillains from the superheroes. They're tearing down buildings, having a pissing contest.
Didn't the Joker specifically go to Metropolis to try to trigger Superman? Was it
that in Kingdom Come? It doesn't go into any of that. It literally starts. It starts in the future after Superman has hidden away for like 10 years because basically Magog is taken to trial. And he is found innocent because what he did, they wanted to happen. They wanted the Joker to be dead. And Superman is so disillusioned. He's just like, you guys didn't get the message I've been trying to preach for all these years. So he just goes away to his fortress of solitude and hides away for 10 years. And the world goes to shit because supervillains and superheroes are decking each other in the middle of the city and they don't care. It's like Invincible, where just hundreds, if not thousands of people are dying. And the Justice League is no longer there to make them act like grown-ups. And it's a great story, and it is beautifully drawn.
I've probably read about three, maybe two parts of that. I remember parts of it distinctly, and other parts of it are kind of hazy. Like I know they happened, but I don't know exactly how they happened.
I mean, the artist makes Superman look like Steve Reeves. Like you're looking at him going, wow, that's the original series Superman. He is an amazing portrait artist. Mm-hmm. So, watching that and the reason I wanted to bring it up was because you talk about Batman and whether he's a vigilante or he's an insurgent. In the future, in that storyline, Batman has complete control over Gotham. He has created these robot bats, Batman or whatever. And like as soon as the crime starts happening, he has it's just like cameras everywhere. He's sitting in his Batcave. He's so old. He's got like this mechanical brace system that helps him get around. And he just sends his robots in.
He kind of goes full Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And with that, I feel like that's a good spot to end the stream because I have a 5 a.m. wake-up call. So I should probably be getting off technology about now. Sorry to interrupt the conversation right now. But I felt like that's a good spot to end it. Thank you to the panel, Andy, Gunsmoke, and Caucasian Sasquatch for showing up. Thank you to the chat, even though 3/4 of them are currently on panel.
It's always fun.
Anyone got any projects coming up they'd like to chill?
Absolutely not. I'm not permitted to have projects. Nothing at all. I'm not even on YouTube.
That's sad. That's not good. All right.
I don't have anything. So goodbye.
Oh. Grand Admiral Snowflake. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
I was going to ask him if he's going to take apart. You know what Grand Admiral Thrawn did, right? Maybe he could look into Hunter Biden's artwork and then take apart that whole, look into and find out their psyche by looking at his artwork.
Yeah, that could happen. Before we go, actually, on Twitter, and I don't need Gunsmoke here because he gave his answer. I posted a poll, and I'll actually share the poll to get your opinion, Andy. Where is it? Here we go. So I felt like, hey, I'm gonna decide I'm gonna play some Equestria at War. That poll was like a definitive yes, play it. So these are the 4 factions, badly described by me. Which one would you like to see me play on stream, Andy? Which King of Angmar? Tax of, and by the way, Equestria at War is a My Little Pony mod for Hearts of Iron 4, just so you know. So the options are which King of Angmar, Tax Evasion Griffins, Make Your Own Story Rudolphs, and Holy Roman Empire Griffins.
Are you cosplaying? What are you talking about?
So are you familiar with the game Hearts of Iron 4?
I am not.
It is a strategy game. The base game is basically like World War II warfare. So you play as like the nation during a total war economy, and your
Okay.
goal is to conquer the rest of the world. And you have these things called focus trees, which allow you to basically like follow down certain paths the country could have followed. Like you could do the historical path, like America rebuilds after the Great Depression, and we stay as like a free market democratic society or a republic, or you could go down the an authoritarian regime takes over America that sides with the Nazis, or you could do the Germans actually don't vote for Hitler; they vote for someone else, and you have, say, the fucking British become syndicalists, and the World War II is actually the British attempting to conquer France, and then the rest of the world defending from Britain. So some absolute nutcases of people that are beautiful made a My Little Pony mod for this game where you play as like one of the one of the kingdoms from My Little Pony, but in a total war economy with nuclear ordnance, gas attacks, heavy tanks, concentration camps, and they also made 2 completely homebrewed continents as well that you can play in, and it is one of the most well put together mods I have ever seen. So
Well, I mean, the only one that I recognize out of that poll is the Witch King of Angmar. I feel like against nukes, he would probably be massively outmatched.
Well, so it's me badly describing certain factions. So this one, the Witch King of Angmar, is a evil spirit king being brought back from from purgatory, and then basically reasserting his territorial claims over the continent, with his people going, "We tried this democracy thing and it wasn't actually that fun, so let's get back to slavery." Then you have Tax Evasion Griffins is just I play as Robin Hood, but Griffin people. Make Your Story Rudolph's is you have like these deer Vikings, and they have a choose your own adventure focus tree. So instead of like following a predetermined line, like if you pick leader A, then you must be a fascist, or if you pick leader B, you must be a communist. You basically build your own ideology with like branching decisions, and your deer Vikings. And then the third one is Holy Roman Empire Griffin, as in you are playing as a Griffin Holy Roman Empire.
Well, I mean, when you say
All of
Griffin, all of a
these-
sudden I start thinking, Harry Potter houses. But
Before you
I think
decide, all of
the
these,
deer,
the
deer Viking.
Deer Vikings. Okay. I will say with all of these, the goal will be to rack up as big of a pony body count as possible. We will do to them what Mao did to his own people.
Ah, well, that sounds like fun.
Only reason to play this mod: kill the ponies.
Are you? I mean, like, why are you not into like massively into 40K? I do not know.
I am.
Okay, and
Oh,
back in my day, we didn't have all these fancy games. So we played a card game that if you can ever find this card game, you will laugh. Okay. First of all, there's a funny card game, and because of your D&D stuff, Munchkin has a bunch of different additions to it, huh?
I think I've heard of Munchkin.
Okay. So Super Munchkin was a box set that it simulates playing a D&D game, but it's very simplified. So you're literally, if you're kicking in the door, your turn, you flip over a card. If it's a monster, you have to fight it. If it's something else, you can pull it into your hand. Anyway, there are a bunch of additional like add-ons to it where you can have other card sets that have funny things, but you're literally like one of your weapons is an 11-foot pole. Or
Gotcha.
the boots of stomping. I mean, like they're just, it's a simplistic thing. But the serious funny card game is called Illuminati, and that is intense. Where you literally playing a faction called the Gnomes of Zurich. Yeah. your bankers.
I'll keep an eye out for that. Yeah, like I said, I got a 5 a.m. wake up call. So
All right. Well, you have fun. Thanks for having me on.
yeah, you're welcome. And this isn't me going, oh, I want to fucking. It's
No, it's all good. I understand. You
Yeah.
got commitments, man.
I do. If a mirror gets mad at me, this is why I haven't been on her panel in a bit. So yeah. Have a good night to Andy Pickle. Have a good night to chat. Salute Shadu. Salute Clue. Later, y'all. I still need an outro.